Video is sponsored by us. We are a tiny little channel, so we decided to sponsor our own stuff because we've got stuff. We've got all kinds of stuff for the small business owner, including our new merch store. When you first pop on here, they have categories which are our designs. But if you go up here and shop, look at all that's here. Organic men, women, kids, babies, accessories, stickers, so much fun. And then we also have topics based on business inspiration for you. Good mistakes today, success tomorrow, chief results officer. Results are the only thing we're talking about. There are sales every now and again, starting October 17th through I think the 22nd. There's free shipping. We also have our Biz Glitch 366 project. You can get 366 made for you mistakes that we've not only made, but we have seen with thousands of business owners over 3 decades of working with business owners, as well as before COVID with business financing and during COVID with the disaster funding programs. You can get a sample of 7 glitches. This is a really neat way to keep on top of the things that are boring, the minutia we have to manage, and the things that go by the wayside because we're busy in our business. So check it out.
And I guess we're live. Hey. Well, this video thing never really works out for me to get the hook in just right. Tonight, it's fall. We got a fire. Even though I have hot flashes all on my own without a fire, we're going to be talking about fraud and forgiveness and default and delinquent.
Mistakes,
all kinds of stuff we have going on tonight. And we're going to try to keep it under 2 hours.
Here's a mistake. 4 minutes before showtime, someone decides she's going to do a TikTok.
Hey, I got to be me.
Which means over off the side of the set here doing a TikTok. And then having to edit the TikTok and upload the TikTok while I'm having a complete anxiety-filled meltdown about the equipment and the setup, and I need you in place so I can check the microphone and the light.
Williams. What up, girl?
By the way, the fire is...
Look at our merch. IRL. Which way do I go? Which way do I go?
The fire is dying down.
The fire's dying down? Well, listen, it's hot. It is a blazing... fiery rage. Just like my mood tonight.
You have moved your chair 3 times and you are now blocking the fire.
I gotta be me. Okay. I don't know. Which way do I go? The opposite is always, okay. The opposite is always, okay. I'm just going to sit over here. How about that? Okay. Let's get started. We have a full agenda as per usual. And we miss you too, Kim. I hope everything is prosperous. And yeah, see, Voodoo knows. Yeah, I feel you when you comment. I feel you. I'm feeling you through the computer, Voodoo.
One of us has to put a fire on the log.
All right. So let me get started with the script I never read, that I never remember. But we do have a lot of different resources to share with you tonight. Including like hearings and where testimony is being played out for a whistleblower program. We have various comments that we have entertained by way of forgiveness, utilization, and just various mistakes about assuming the SBA has their act together and the danger of default before you even start making payments. So that is the end of me introducing. Oh, and also we are just definitely going to be peppering in things that we have that can be purchased, because we are a small business too, and we like to stay in business. And the only way to stay in business is if we actually let people know what we are selling, besides the free information we try to provide when we can. How is that? Was that a pretty good, not reading the script, but getting some stuff in there that's germane to tonight? What do you think? Why are you looking at me like that?
That was excellent.
It was?
It was excellent.
Oh my gosh. I also think we're broadcasting. I haven't confirmed this, but I think we're broadcasting for the first time on a decentralized platform, which is, by the way, AKA BTW, known as blockchain. We do not talk about the C word here, but I think we are actually on a decentralized program.
On the very same day that Sam Bankman Fraudster's girlfriend testified that they lied to lenders and investors for years.
Yeah.
Liars.
Can we also show you this? This is not merch we sell. This is our own personal treasure that we get to keep here. Look, I look like I have a mustache. I look like I have a mustache here. A little bit. And no eyes. Okay.
You kind of look like you kind of look like Where's Waldo without the hat.
I love it. Hello, David DeYoung. How are you, sir?
I'm taking a kind of a page out of Writer Sanctuary live YouTube playbook tonight. If you notice, apart from the heat emanating from the fireplace, I am of a lower temperature this evening.
Yeah.
I like how Michael's videos, live videos, are real mellow.
Very calming.
Very chill.
Zen-like.
Very chill.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Of course, we are going to talk about some EIDL stuff, so you will get the opportunity to see the top of my head explode.
Oh, well, that just wouldn't be a show with Linda Ray and Trevor if Trevor's brain matter wasn't about to erupt and, towards the ceiling. So there you go. All right. What coming? Then Trevor's brain matter is everywhere. Okay. What do you want to get started on first? You're in charge of the script.
I want to start on a mistake that a business owner made that's relative to the EIDL program and folded in with the services that we offer. Linda mentioned the stuff that we sell, but we also offer consulting services, and folded in, and then folded into all that something that I call the Trevor method, which is boundaries, standards, and rules about how you conduct your business. So yes, we offer, one of the consulting services is a 1-hour paid phone consultation with my brain, which communicates to you on a cell phone through my mouth. And I have a system. We created a system to onboard people who want to book time for the appointment. And then I have my methodology for how I conduct the phone call, because folks are paying $275 for 60 minutes with me, and the time goes a lot faster than you think it does. And so I want to make sure that I give them every penny's worth of my time and energy and expertise.
This is awesome.
So we have a system set up. And the other day we had somebody contact us who wanted to book the time. I'm going to hand it over to Linda because this is the mistake part and the Trevor method, boundary violation part.
We've been scheduling people for 3.5 years when it comes to the EIDL, and we have encountered all kinds of different scenarios with little hiccups, with mistakes such as, we ask you to be detailed so we can make the most out of the time, and all we get is EIDL reconsideration or something like that. It's like, please be specific. They wanted a different time than what was available. They wanted to pay it a different way than what was available. And they told us that we didn't have to call the SBA, even though that's part of the potential agenda, because 9 times out of 10, Trevor's calling for some reason. And when we said, well, please don't tell us how our agenda is going to go. I mean, Trevor was a little abrupt. I thought he was a little harsh.
When we did our walk this evening and we rehearsed this, you did it a lot. You were a lot more erudite with your presentation. Now you're kind of rushing through it.
I am rushing through it because
I won't lie. I'm a little disappointed.
But
I'm totally off script.
You went off script, so this is what happens.
It's because Svetlana had to send that funny meme right before Showtime saying stick to the script. So,
and I wasn't the one who didn't stick to the script. The danger of default, charge-offs.
I'm showing her the script.
Yeah, I have the
script. The reason I jumped in with this impromptu is because you totally blew past the script.
Yeah.
Okay. Right? There you go. Yeah, she's got it up on her screen. Yay!
Okay. I hand it over to you. What do you want to talk about with the Congress is still focusing on fraud? That is obvious. And the Small Business Committee held an Action Through Innovation private sector solutions to recouping stolen pandemic loan funds.
Well, that's a mouthful.
So there's evidently some testimony from experts on a whistleblower program, right, to uncover more funds.
All right. Danger default, forgiveness. It's not going to happen. You know why it's not going to happen? Because of this. Because the Congress is holding hearings about fraud in the SBA COVID programs, the EIDL and the PPP. Because Hannibal Mike Ware, who is the Office of Inspector General for the SBA, is making everybody on Capitol Hill nuts about the hundreds of billions of fraud that he estimates. In fact, in this hearing, which Linda's going to pop up the link to the YouTube video so you can all click through it at your leisure, the testimony opens with the hearing, the congressperson saying how Mr. Ware claims that the OIG has, quote, 100 years of investigations ahead of it to uncover and prosecute all of the fraud.
100 years.
Michael, what do we call that in the writing world? Oh, hyperbole.
Oh, I love that word.
Outrageous hyperbole. You know, 100 years of investigations. Meanwhile, I recall that David and Michael and I did some math, because hashtag math is fun, a few broadcasts back, and we discovered that so far the prosecution rate is like 0.0000005%. It's minuscule. And for everybody out there who's saying forgiveness, 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 the forgiveness has to be approved by Congress. If Congress is only focusing on clawing back criminally stolen funds, there's no room in the room. There's no space in that room for a conversation about forgiveness.
Well, they're not even talking about what is going to happen with the $9 billion that they recovered.
No mention of it.
No mention of what, like, are they going to reinstitute?
The entire hearing. There was no mention of what they're going to do with the $9 billion they've clawed back so far.
Right. So all that's being talked about is the OIG having more money to go after fraud, but not talking about the means that would assist small business owners and alleviate small business owners from this,
who are still facing economic challenges.
You know, and a lot of people, when they contact us, they are already out of business or on the brink of going out of business or on the brink of deciding whether they should even file for bankruptcy.
Yeah.
So there's a lot
and all of them that we've spoken to want to pay the loan back.
Yes.
They want to do the right thing. They're not jumping on the forgiveness bandwagon, the Reddit.
They're trying to figure out how to make it work and how to strategically, situate their business matters and logistics to make it happen for repayment and to make good on the debt, or at least to document their stringent efforts towards being compliant with the government for long-term effects. You know, you have business owners who are potentially entrepreneurs, and maybe one venture didn't work, so they are perhaps they want to open up another business that could work. I mean, we've had multiple businesses, some have worked and some haven't. So if you default on a government loan, we have that whole section.
Well, we're going to come to that later.
Right.
Danger default hits a few sections in our broadcast this evening, but I wanted to start out with this congressional hearing. I didn't see. Did you put the link up for the YouTube video, please?
Well, I put it in the comments.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Thanks.
Yes.
Oh, I see. There it is. Thank you. I apologize. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, if you have a chance, to lose an hour and 27 minutes of time that you'll never get back, watch that. Or if you want to be like Linda Ray, you put it on YouTube and you put it on 1.5 playback. And
I'm a big fan of 1.75. 2.0 too fast. 1.5 still, I need a little time. Need to save a little extra time. So 1.75. Okay.
So again, the dialogue in Congress, in the U.S. Senate, apart from everything else that's going on, when it comes to the COVID-19 EIDL program, the dialogue is about fraud and clawing back and prosecuting people who committed fraud. It is not about forgiveness. Next on our happy dandy little agenda this evening is what I call the umbrella.
The umbrella.
What we are seeing when folks are asking the SBA for assistance, whether it is a business that is being sold and the other business wants to assume the COVID-19 EIDL, or a business that is changing its formal designation, maybe from an LLC to a C Corp or an S Corp or anything of that nature, or changing management, any type of mundane requests that you have to interact with the SBA. Not to mention, if you apply for a natural disaster loan and you already have or applied for but didn't get a COVID-19 EIDL, what we're seeing, and also if you're requesting hardship accommodation, if your loan's more than $200,000, you have to request a hardship accommodation from the SBA COVID-19 Servicing Center and interact with a loan specialist there who has to review documents and approve that. If your loan amount's less than $200,000, then you should be able to do that automatically on the My SBA portal. Although that has changed recently, the portal has changed, so I haven't looked at that feature if that's still available. All of these interactions with the SBA, a natural disaster loan, a change of something in your business organization, an assumption of the business, sale of collateral, danger of default, hardship accommodation request, the SBA's umbrella is allowing the SBA to look at your COVID-19 EIDL loan application. And if there are discrepancies,
I have to put that
they're going to shut you down.
Isn't that this?
In addition, they're asking questions like, we want to see proof of how you spent the COVID-19 EIDL funds. Send that in to me. Send in your ledgers, which under the terms of the loan authorization agreement, you are required to have kept those records. If you purchase our post-closing blueprint, I created a whole chapter going into your responsibilities under the loan agreement, including submitting financial statements every year. So that umbrella at the SBA, and the thing we learned about SBA during COVID, which is still true, when it comes to getting someone to work on your file at the SBA, it's the luck of the draw. You get somebody who's really good, or you get somebody who's incompetent, or in the middle, you get somebody who's a super duper bureaucrat
who thinks you're committing fraud.
Yeah,
before
the fraud hammer looking for a nail.
Yeah. That's a real thing.
And I think you put this banner up too soon.
Did I?
Yeah, because, it's on the script, but what do I know?
Well, we did talk about how it's all it's becoming very intertwined with...
It's on page 3 of the script. We're still on page 2.
You already busted up the script.
I busted the script. Okay. And I'll answer that question in a moment to Shiva Voodoo. And... so this umbrella is going to be a challenge for folks. That's why we encourage people to buy our That's why we encourage folks to purchase our post-closing blueprint. You see, I'm being mindful that later on she has to edit this into snackable videos. Look how cute she is tonight.
I'm cute because I'm wearing our merch. Hello.
Badass business banter.
That's just one design of a few different designs I have created myself. These are them. I am very, very...
I think it's these are they, but...
These are them, these there. Them, these, there are those.
Toshiba, to answer your question, bankruptcy for business LLC under $200,000, how to have to affect personal credit. We don't know the answer to that question yet, because what you're asking is, because a loan less than $200,000 does not have a personal guarantee component. Therefore, if you file a bankruptcy for an LLC or a C Corp or an S Corp or an LLP, and that business is dissolved through bankruptcy, and the debts, including the COVID-19 EIDL, is discharged through the bankruptcy, how does that affect the owners/shareholders of the business and SBA's ability to attempt to collect the debt from them personally? This is a conversation we have had multiple times on our previous broadcasts. And I will tell you, I spoke to 2 really good SBA agents yesterday with exactly this question, although the loan was actually over $500,000. It was $1.2 million, and so there was definitely a personal guarantee issue. But I got vague, ambiguous, and non-specific answers.
Because nobody really knows. They're still figuring it out. It is a work in progress. It's like, I think it's the path of least resistance meets maybe nobody will ask and we'll just do what we want. When we feel that we want to collect the money, then we'll just do what we want. You know what I mean? It's like whatever fits.
Well, no, they just
whatever rep is answering the question.
Well, there's that. Yes, there's that.
You know,
because they are not as typical with the SBA. The internal communication is as bad as the external. But the other part of your question, Toshiba, is affect personal credit. So I know from experience, having read a credit report, literally the first 2 weeks of the pandemic, 3 weeks of the pandemic, client number 2 who hired us to do a reconsideration of a declined COVID-19 EIDL application, he had a previous bankruptcy on his credit report and a defaulted SBA loan. So it did go on his credit report. And my reading of the SBA Form 5 or 3501 loan application for an EIDL and the loan authorization agreement, my reading of that is that, yes, if you default, your personal credit can be impacted. The SBA may report the defaulted loan on your personal credit report, whether or not you have a personal guarantee. Now, whether that means they can come after you for the debt, if the loan is less than $200,000, this is the unanswered question, which remains to be seen. Because there's a component in the loan authorization agreement that says personal liability. And I know we've seen people come on here and comment on our other YouTube videos saying, well, I spoke to an attorney. And in fact, David DeYoung even mentioned it in one of our previous broadcasts. Personal liability, meaning for the signee, the person or entity that signed the loan agreement. But the loan agreement doesn't say personal/business liability. It says personal liability. I don't know. Considering that Congress is holding hearings about implementing a reward-based whistleblower campaign to recoup fraud, do we want to leave it to the SBA that they're going to come after people, and just make it up as they go along? Wait, does that sound familiar?
That's exactly what they're doing.
My beard's doing something very strange for you. See,
it's exactly what they're doing, which makes no sense to me as a government agency who has been facilitating business loans and residential loans since 1953. How is it that the protocols are not airtight? Like, how come it's like ambiguous answers? Why isn't there concrete procedure in place after millions and millions of loans and dollars that have been distributed? I just don't understand how this is still a work in progress. And, fly shit against the wall and let's see what sticks.
Fling shit against.
What did I say? Fly shit? Well, I feel aggressive tonight. I feel aggressive.
Fly shit.
I feel very...
Fly shit.
Oh, no, you're a nice guy. We love you, Toshiba. Thank you. Okay.
I want to mention that what I've discovered recently on some of my 1-hour paid consultation calls with folks, and also with some other folks who've hired us to process documents for an assumption of a loan, sale of assets, things of that nature. You need to know that you need to bring a pound of patience to your process with the SBA on anything you're going to deal with them. Their timelines will not necessarily match your timelines. But the thing you can do to make your experience with the SBA more efficient is to purchase our post-closing blueprint. Validation hucksters are us. Yesterday, I had to speak to the 2 owners of a brewery that is failing, and they have tried everything to save the business, but the business is failing. And so they hired my brain for an hour, and we called the SBA. And at the end of the call, one of the owners said, he said, I got to say, I'm just shocked how you got somebody on the phone so quickly at the SBA. Mm-hmm. And, it doesn't occur to me because, I do this every week. I speak to the SBA almost every week, and I interact with them every week in one form, email or whatever. But again, the expertise that I have comes from experience more than anything. And y'all don't have that experience. But I put my experience and distilled it and put it into our post-closing blueprint. So the reason I was able to get somebody on the phone quickly is just because I know the menu prompts at the SBA and I know the right one to hit.
And you also have done it thousands of times. You've done it thousands of times.
Purchase the guidebook. It'll make your experience with the SBA much more efficient. I promise you. It will also help you have a better expectation of the SBA timeline.
Well, let me just step in because this is where I'll
stop huckstering now.
Well, I wear the business owner hat and try to bring a devil's advocate or just a realistic approach where business owners, we saw how emotional it was just to wait for the funds. And now there's the paying of the funds. And if because there are so many business owners still struggling, we know there are high emotions. In fact, I really think if you weren't here in the beginning of the show where Trevor kind of droned on too much about someone who scheduled a call with us and then did not like
I droned?
You did. But even Michael saw it, that we got derailed because I'm like, can we just move on here? But anyway.
I droned and derailed.
Yes.
It's double D's.
I think there's an emotional component that is, and the reason I can observe it with such, appreciation.
Detachment? This would be 3 Ds.
No, because I do it too. I've caught myself in the course of the last week managing certain things with our business. I mean, I was even on the verge of tears at one point when I was having to talk about something that costs us a lot of money on an annual basis to maintain for our business. And I was trying to figure out how we can, negotiate this to be not as much. And why do I have to wait 5 months till it renews kind of thing? So business owners get super emotional. And I feel that. And that's what I think happened with this person who ended up wanting to cancel the call because
we have standards.
Because we have a way of doing it. And it's because we want to make the most out of the time and the money that the person invests in investigating and dissecting all of this SBA chaos. We don't set this up because this is the first time we're doing it, and this is our first go.
We've done hundreds of these calls,
maybe hundreds, and spoken to. I don't know if it's thousands. Even in the past 3.5 years, it feels like thousands.
It feels like it was thousands between what we do on the live YouTube and then the emails that we would get, and the phone calls we would get.
We have just on this channel alone, we have over 470 videos. I think it's like 476 videos on business loans pre-COVID and EIDL loans during COVID. So we've answered thousands of questions for sure. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is I can understand when someone is super emotional. There comes a point in time though that we have to kind of put on our big girl pants, our big boy pants, and deal with the reality of the situation. And the SBA, they don't care because they don't really know a lot.
Okay. Well, the SBA does care, and I'm going to come to that in a little while.
Okay, so correct me. Good. I'm glad. I don't think they do.
No, they do. They actually do. But I want to use this opportunity, this emotional outburst, to segue into the next danger or default topic, which is the forgiveness bandwagon. We've spoken about this before. There's a lot of mythology and chitter chatter out there in this, new cultural phenomenon where expertise has no value. And, the value comes from a community of people chatting about something on the internet, which I've done that. But I did that as an expert providing advice. Generally, when I've gone to online forums to request assistance with something I knew nothing about, I remember once I was asking for assistance about tires I needed to buy for a car. I found the responses to be horribly failing in any sense of helpfulness. So there's this cultural phenomenon of the disrespect for expertise, which is why I think this forgiveness bandwagon has taken on so much energy. We've said this before in previous broadcasts. I was there during the subprime mortgage buildup. I saw everybody jump on that bandwagon, and then the meltdown. I saw everybody doing loan modifications. Then I saw everybody doing short sales. And we posted an image on previous broadcast with the person in Florida who was prosecuted for PPP fraud, and the judge said to her, "Well, why'd you do it?" And she said, "Well, because everybody else was doing it." So it's that bandwagon mentality. And I think part of what fuels people's desire to jump on that bandwagon and find a shortcut is this emotional response, Linda, that you're mentioning.
Yeah.
People get so, and for me, this loan process, all of it is unemotional. And Linda frequently reminds me, listen, you think too much like a loan officer.
Yeah. And you have too much. I think you have too much intel with not only the loan process, but various economic meltdowns that have happened in your 30 plus year career.
Yeah, recessions and so forth. Yeah.
So I've
lived through it all.
You've lived through it all. So you have the detachment more so than anybody, I would imagine. So, and Trevor's process too, he's like, I have my way, you'll thank me later, kind of thing, which is very, very true because things move so slow on a bureaucratic level. There is always he gleans something from every interaction, every encounter, every experience he has with SBA or a business owner and how they were approaching it, which is why, again, this show has been around this person who scheduled and didn't like our onboarding.
Like the previous program about hucksters, we're just circling this one person who
we're just
we were both triggered. Okay, we were both pretty triggered today.
Yeah,
we almost got into an argument about it because I sent an email which was basically saying, "Listen, I thank you for your response," because the person said, "We're not going to call the SBA." I'm like, wait, okay. So my internal reaction is, I'm sorry. Are you the kind of person who, while you're on the operating table, wakes yourself up from the anesthesia and tells the surgeon, scalpel a little more to the left?
Yeah. Or the example I use, when you go into the doctor's office, you don't need to do blood work. Don't worry about it. No, you don't need to take my temperature or whatever the else.
So in response to this email, because I had sent a previous email saying, listen, and prepare for the call, have your SBA disaster loan number, your COVID-19 EIDL number ready, because often I call the SBA. Now, I didn't say I will definitely call the SBA. I said I often, and again, by preparing people, it helps to maximize their time. They're paying $275 for 60 minutes. I want them to have the best experience. I've been on calls where people go, I need the number. And then they waste 5 minutes of a phone call looking for the loan number. Or the person who is the original authorized preparer of the application is not available. Let me get them on a conference call. So this is part of our expertise. But I responded and said, thank you for your response. I said, but by way of managing your expectations,
I'll tell you.
I will determine. And Linda did not like the tone.
I already knew. As soon as I read it, I was like, okay, here it comes. And sure enough, I was right. She was like, thank you. I didn't realize, blah, 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 blah. I'd like to cancel.
Give me my money back.
Okay.
Like that.
It's like, well, I actually have never had to do that. So let me just check if I can, because we hadn't even received the money
You're
yet.
sitting at the table in the restaurant and they bring the lasagna out. No, they bring the salad out. And, you know, and you're like, I want the lasagna now and the salad later. And when the waitress says, well, the lasagna is not ready yet, and that's not how we do things. We bring out the soup or the salad first. Give me my money back.
Okay.
You haven't paid yet.
Let's not beat this horse.
Oh, we're beating it. We're beating it.
Let's not.
We're hucksterizing and beating it.
All right. What else why does it look like there's a.
All right. So here's my advice for those of you who don't want to jump on the forgiveness bandwagon. Linda created this concept. I love this concept.
I did?
Yeah, she did. Have you heard of a pity party?
I have them on a regular basis.
You do? I'm not usually witness to those.
Well, sometimes you're the reason I have them.
Wow, really? Oh. Well, you've heard of a pity party.
Oh my God, someone just made my day on Bolt
Linda
TV.
said
thank you
that you
Rebecca.
Should have. Linda said you should have a power party.
A power? Oh, I did say this.
Okay, so I want to recommend a strategy here. If you are in danger of defaulting on your COVID-19 EIDL, either your business is failing or it's struggling or you just need more time so you can catch up with payments, SBA's policies are the following policies. You ready? Here we go. Write it down. First of all,
please I go.
If you are 90 days delinquent on your payments of your COVID-19 EIDL, SBA puts you into what's called a charge-off status, which, by the way, just saying being that credit is my area of special expertise, that is the wrong thing to call it, SBA, but okay.
Yeah.
So charge-off status. It should be called delinquent status, but charge-off status. And then, so that's 90 days. And then when it gets to 120 days or 4 months that you're late on your payments, at that point, the SBA says they will send your file to the United States Treasury, ultimately to the IRS for collection activity. Okay. And this is freaking everybody out. There's another component of SBA's process with defaulting loans. If you want to get a hardship accommodation, which means you want to reduce your payment to a manageable level, hopefully it's manageable, and you can reduce it up by as much as 90% of the required monthly payment, as long as it's a minimum of $25. I know some other YouTubers have called it the 10%. It's not 10%. It can be reduced by as much as 90%. Words mean something here because math is fun.
Words or numbers?
Words and, 90% versus 10%. Those are numbers. Those are numbers.
But when we speak their words, use your words about numbers. Okay? Okay.
Okay, the fire died out.
Okay.
So numbers are important here because it's not a 10% reduction, it's a 90%, which means you may only reduce it. You may reduce your loan payment by only 25% to what's affordable. But in order to be approved for that hardship accommodation, the SBA says you have to be current on the loan. Wait, so this makes no sense, of course. Okay, no, seriously, I really need you with me so you can interact here.
Yeah.
I teed one up for you there, and you just were yakking with Rebecca. Hi, Rebecca. Hi, Rebecca. Give me my girl back, Rebecca.
Okay, what?
Forget it. I teed it up for you. Here, I'll tee it up again. Here we go. If you want a hardship accommodation and you call the SBA to request a hardship accommodation, they will tell you your loan payments must be brought current first before we will consider a hardship accommodation.
I was hoping to have this conversation earlier because.
Do you want Rebecca to handle this question?
I just am in love with Rebecca right now. So leave me and Rebecca alone. Okay. We're having a moment. Anyhow. Okay. The thing about hardship, this is why I was trashing the SBA before, that you actually came to their rescue saying they do care.
Well, they do. I'm going to show you why they care.
But what I don't understand
I'm leading up to that.
What I don't understand as a business owner is, okay, so you have to get current to make payments you can't afford in order to not pay the payments you can't afford.
Correct.
I don't even know what I just said.
I don't know what you said either. All right. So considering the 90-day charge-off status, the 120 days transfer to Treasury, which, Marion, I believe in liquidation means it's going to the U.S. Treasury for collection action. I'm not sure if I think that's what it means. And then, of course, the fact that you have to bring the payments current. So what's an honest, law-abiding small business owner who wants to do the right thing to do in this case? Sit down and have a pity party? Or follow Linda Ray's amazing advice and have a
power party.
So here's my power party
Okay, go ahead.
Suggestion. Yes?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. My power party suggestion is this. Based on my experience in 30 years in the lending industry, where, yes, I have had to go and knock on people's doors at 9:30 at night and say, excuse me, you remember me? I'm Trevor. I did your mortgage, and you are 3 months late on your payment. Can I come in and talk about how we can figure out how to get you up to date? As a former lender / debt collector, I will tell you that anybody who's sending money in is going to be looked at in a much more favorable light than people who are just jumping on the forgiveness bandwagon and walking away from the loan. So your power party is come up with a plan. If you cannot get approved for hardship accommodation because you cannot bring the payments current, send in something. I find it hard to believe that the SBA is going to liquidate and send out to collections the U.S. Treasury loans where somebody is attempting to make payments of any type. And I know that Michael, when we talked about this on a previous broadcast, he said when he worked for the IRS some years ago, they looked at the IRS, people who were delinquent in tax payments. If people had been sending them in money, even $1 a month, they were looked at with a more positive level of respect from the debt collectors. So going to what I said to Linda before, that the SBA does care. On the call I had yesterday with the failing brewery, where I spoke to two really good SBA agents. Both of them, without being very specific and very detailed, they hinted and said internally, the SBA agents are trying everything possible to accommodate small business owners who are struggling. Think about that for a moment. They really do care. They don't want you to go to the Treasury. They don't want you to fail on the loan. They want to find a way.
So here's the key thing, the key takeaway that I'm hearing from you, again, as a regular business owner wearing my regular business owner hat, not loan officer hat, is what you're saying is that there's something going on that we may not know about, where the SBA is waking up and saying, crap, there's still, COVID may be over, but the repercussions are not. And they're already, this is the other thing I wanted to say, that I think it's on the script, but let me just interject, where there's already signs of people being in default and the business owner doesn't even know it, and or SBA isn't even treating the file yet as if they're in default yet, potentially, right? Because can we get into the comment I got on TikTok about?
We're going to get to that a little bit.
Okay, so what I mean, so the whole, we started this about the danger of default and how there are so many things to stay in compliance with the loan that if you don't do those things, you're technically in default, and what those consequences could be, correct?
Hello, Aubrey. Okay, so the TikTok comment that Linda referenced is that a woman on TikTok DM'd Linda and said to her, I'm confused about my COVID-19 EIDL. If I'm in default, is the total balance due? Right?
Yeah.
That was the question. What was your response to that? Do you remember?
Did I copy and paste that?
No, you didn't.
Okay, so then I don't think that was...
You just told me about it.
That wasn't the question. The question was, I don't have the exact question, but the way the conversation went in the DMs on TikTok was that ultimately I said, if you're overdue, contact and find out like how to make the payment, what the payments are, when it was due, and just get on a payment schedule if you're now aware if you're now aware that you're overdue. She was 75 days overdue. But then she came back and said, "Oh, I don't have to pay the whole loan off." I go, "What? Why? I didn't even think you would, that would be, why? No, of course not. You don't have to pay the loan was like $27,000. I said, I never even thought you would have to pay the whole loan back. So that was the conversation, because I have not, in the course of this past year, if someone's late on their payment, but they haven't even filed for a hardship, they just have to get current on the payments. They don't have to pay the whole loan back. This woman thought she was I surmise,
because she was late, she would have to
pay the whole $27,000.
So that was Linda's response, to which the loan officer, turned and said, "Well,
no, she has to pay the whole loan.
Technically, once you're in default for any reason, the loan becomes due and payable in full.
Yeah,
it's just like a foreclosure on a house. Once you're in default, technically the loan, and I say technically, because there's the other component of late payments, which is called remediation, where a borrower negotiates with a lender to come to some agreement as to how to remediate or how to pay back the loan, or pay back some of the loan and be released from liability for the remaining balance that couldn't be paid, or come up with a payment plan so that the borrower can incrementally come current on the loan. And this is what I mean by the hints that I got from these two excellent SBA agents yesterday, who said, the SBA is trying to accommodate people. So we would encourage you to do two things if you're in danger of default. Number one, buy our post-closing blueprint, because I teach you in the book who to call,
how to talk,
how to speak to an SBA agent. When I do my 1 hour calls, often people are shocked at the end of the call. Like, we have a comment we're going to put up a little later. I don't know if you want to put up now. This is the review from Paula on the call 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Who at the end of the call, she was like, "I could never have done that call the way you did that, Trevor."
That's it right there.
So to make all of your lives easy, I've created a chapter in the book called, how to speak to an SBA agent. I teach you how to do it the way I used to teach my loan officers how to speak to applicants when they're taking a loan application. There's an efficient way and there's a crazy way.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't be crazy. Buy our post-closing blueprint. That's your first step if you're in danger of default, because I show you the steps you need to do and suggestions, strategies, how to speak to people, where to call, how to communicate.
Yeah.
Next. Communicate with the SBA.
Oh, this is good.
Reach out to the SBA and say, "Hey, listen, I'm in trouble."
Yes.
And if you get someone at the SBA who says, "Well, too bad, you've got to bring the payments current,"
hang up and call back.
Get somebody else. Or just send in a payment. Listen, if you're sending in a payment and they're cashing the check, they've cashed your check. And I know there are people out there who are going to hear this, and all the faux credit experts are going to say, "This guy doesn't know what he's talking about." But I have done this. So we had a client here in Connecticut a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
When we first started our financing business, he was our first client. And the situation was, it's a commercial property, a legacy family history property. It's in the family since 1945. And he inherited it from his recently deceased father. And our client was the executor of the estate and the administrator of the living trust, that the mortgage was in the name of the living trust. And the loan was with a bank notorious for being huge in the United States and notorious for doing all kinds of really naughty things to their borrowers and their customers, and fake accounts, and we'll let you do the math and figure out who it is I'm talking about. And I said to him, He's like, oh, they called me up and they said, we're going to foreclose. We're going to take the property, which, by the way, banks don't do that. Banks don't want your property.
Yeah, they don't.
The SBA does not want to try to sell your assets for your business. You've got to keep that in mind when you're negotiating with them. The lenders don't want to take it back. They want to get paid. So I said to him, ignore what they're saying to you on the phone. Go into the bank, get a cashier's check. Can you afford he was delinquent because they had told him, his lawyer, who I told him to fire, also told him to stop paying the mortgage. It's the worst thing you can do. I said, how far are you behind? 3 months. I said, can you afford? He goes, I've been holding the money in a separate account. I go, my God, that's genius. That's excellent. Nobody does that. You're so smart. Here's the next smart thing to do. I said, go to the bank right now, get a cashier's check for the 3 months of late payments plus the late fees that are on the statement. Whatever's on the most recent statement, because they were still sending him statements even though they told him they were going to foreclose. Like, no, it's a lot like the SBA. There was no sense. He sends in the check. They cash the check. He did that for another 2 years. They just kept cashing the check. Ultimately, they returned the check to him. And he called me and they said, oh, they returned the check. I said, well, now you've got to go a different way because now you're in trouble. Well, it's the same with the SBA, folks. These two excellent agents yesterday told me the SBA is trying to accommodate you. So Marion, Toshiba, if you are in danger, buy our blueprint, read my instructions and advice and strategy on how to approach the SBA, how to negotiate, how to speak to an SBA agent, who to call.
And I think the key thing though is, I mean, listen, we can tell you to buy the blueprint and you don't, and that's fine.
Oh, I'm going to huckster the hell out of it.
But we can also tell you that we have all this procedure. But let me just give you a tip that helped with a gentleman that we talked to yesterday. The key is documenting everything about everything that you encounter, even if it's a phone call.
Yeah.
This person had who he talked to and the time.
Back in 2021.
And the advice this SBA agent gave them that was atypical of the course of how things go when you're applying for a COVID-19 EIDL loan. And they gave him advice that was
contrary to the way it's supposed to be done.
Normal.
Yeah.
But he had it all documented. Now, it's tedious and it's arduous. It's overwhelming. And you have to remember to take the action to do it. This is why I always have a notebook right next to me and a pen ready to go so that you can at least be prepared to take that extra step.
Is that Rebecca's phone number you wrote down over there?
I did not write down Rebecca's phone number.
All right, Marion has a comment here. So Marion, a moment ago, I talked about having patience with the SBA timelines. So I'm not sure of your specific situation, but you've got to give the SBA some time. I don't know if this is your case. I don't mean this is about you, but I've seen with other people, either on phone calls or in comments, emails received that they're like, well, but I sent the payment in. And I checked the portal, 3-4 days later, and it still shows delinquent. Yeah, because it doesn't work that fast. You got, typically you got to give it at least 30 days because it's like a credit card. It's like a mortgage. Things go on 30-day increments. So you've got to give that time and be patient with their internal timeline. I do know from experience on one of our clients who recently paid off in full the COVID-19 EIDL. Against our and his wishes, but the SBA demanded that, and it took 21 business days for the SBA to register the payment just with the U.S. Treasury that it had been received before it was even updated on the website. So you got to be patient with that timeline aspect. Toshiba says he loves our blueprint. Thank you. Keep in mind, if you purchase post-closing blueprint, we are updating those with free updates for anybody who purchased it all the way through December of 2024.
Look at this SBA Bible. Oh, I have a QR code for y'all that is still in effect because our website, I'm taking a little extra time with our redesign of our website because I want to make sure that it's super clean, crisp, and clear and efficient. So you can still get our blueprint for 15% off if you use this QR code. And the reason it's 15% off is because it's
15% off.
Well, no, because it's not a credit card. If you go to our website, you can still get 10% off if you use a credit card.
I wanted to put up Michael's comment. Most organizations prefer cash over assets every time and are easy.
Willie.
Excuse me.
Sorry, Willie's in the house.
Hi, Willie. I was literally reading. You got enough of that? Your beverage in your cup over there?
I'm having my tea.
Should I go?
Tea time.
Do you want me to refund? Yeah, I think the color of the spillage is pretty obvious that is not tea.
It's tea time.
Brief interlude. Michaels writes, most organizations would prefer cash over assets every time and are easy to work with as long as you're reasonable and have an honest conversation with them. It's true. It is absolutely true. It's what I call put your best foot forward. That's why our blueprint shows you step by step the things to do to speak to an SBA on a more even playing field, especially the part about taking emotion out of your communications, written and verbal. Get the logic in there, get the emotion out. Okay. So Linda mentioned she put up a banner before. You get a chance to put up the banner now.
Which banner?
I see you chatting with Rebecca again.
Rebecca.
Danger of default. If you default on your COVID-19 EIDL because you're listening to all the terrible forgiveness bandwagon Reddit bro advice, and it's terrible advice, folks, you are putting yourself personally and your business in future jeopardy of getting debarred. From participating in federal contracting opportunities, federal loans, federal grants. And unless you've got a crystal ball that can show you that you will never need to interact with the federal government for money or to become a federally approved contractor and do business with the government, absent that crystal ball, we caution you to approach your defaulting SBA loan with extreme care.
Yeah.
Because walking away from it is not the strategy you should take. Willie Ramirez is in the house. Hello, Willie. And
we have a service number, Marion.
Yeah, can we put up the number?
Yeah. Banner.
And you want to use menu option, I think it's menu option 3.
Yeah.
You'll get a customer service rep first who will screen your call because the SBA says they have such a volume of calls. They're not letting people just speak willy-nilly. See, Willie, what I did there, by the way? Willy-nilly to the loan specialist who can actually do something. There's a customer service rep who tends to be pretty good, but they can't actually give you answers. They will transfer you to the correct person. So you see this quote that we've put up here. This appears on the COVID-19 EIDL application you all signed back during the pandemic. This is one of the legal disclosures.
Yeah.
You see, it says, is the applicant or any listed owner currently suspended or debarred from contracting with the federal government? This is going to appear on every natural disaster application, SBA loan application, an application for a federal grant. I don't know, maybe you're in the candle business today, but you're going to open a beehive farm in the future, and you're going to want to do business with the USDA.
Well, that's
hello.
See, that's where this is where I struggle with. We have a lot of haters that come on and comment, and I decide whether I want to exploit it for my own entertainment or I just block them because they're just not realistic with the world. And I think the people who have no care about their future and the responsibilities and the actions they've taken in their lives for their business, getting this loan, and now it's just like, oh, well, I can't pay it, so good luck getting the money from me because I'm out of here. What? And then you're going to They're going to be victims later. Like,
it's what we talked about on our last broadcast and what we mentioned earlier. It's the forgiveness bandwagon. Just walk away unless the government should forgive these loans. And if they're not going to forgive, I'm just going to walk away. That is not a solution at all. That is not a solution. Harvey XFC, thanks for joining us, and you are quite welcome. It's our pleasure. We've been doing this since 2020. Giving away free advice?
No. We've been doing this since 2019, which, if I may say,
you may say,
I'm going to say,
I may say,
we started talking about business loans in 2019 and how to apply and to prepare business owners on how to apply for a business loan, even if they thought their banker was their best friend. And when COVID hit,
hint, the banker is not your friend.
Not your friend. But the thing is, what we found out when COVID started happening and all the chaos with the increase and the reconsiderations, and then up to 500, then up to 2 million, and loans were being, applications for increases were being declined. Everything we talked about in 2019 on how to prepare your business to apply for a loan.
Say it, Linda. Say it.
We could have saved so many people so much time and energy and expense and aggravation if they had if our YouTube channel even had some kind of algorithm, or if YouTube even cared a little bit about, you know what, these people are talking about stuff that is important to businesses to grow, and small businesses is the backbone of the economy. That's all I have to say.
By the way, our fire has totally burned out. So.
How do I get rid of this?
HARBXFC.
Yes.
I apologize. My glasses aren't so great for the banner. So already in default, personal guarantee. Well, there is a personal guarantee, which means that technically the owner or owners of the business or the shareholder or shareholders of the corporation have guaranteed that loan for repayment.
Yeah.
That's what the SBA expects you to do as an owner. One of the things that one of the strategies we've seen the SBA seems to be offering is transferring collateral. So if your business assets are intangibles, but you personally own real estate, you can guarantee the loan by pledging your personal real estate. The problem is that the SBA does not have a definitive answer on this. I asked this question of two good quality agents yesterday because the business that I was speaking to them about owes over $1 million in COVID-19 EIDL loan. And it's a brewery that is failing. And there are multiple owners, something like 20 owners of the business, 20 shareholders, and everybody's terrified about the personal guarantee. And we could not get a concrete answer from the SBA reps, as good quality as they were. But both of them hinted that putting your best foot forward, that the SBA is trying to find a way to accommodate. So again, I recommend my two-step strategy, and this is not me being a huckster. This is me trying to help folks who, we don't do these live shows 7 days a week, and we don't offer consultation calls 7 days a week, and we can't answer everybody's personal questions. I put all this information, I distilled it and put it into expert, easy to understand format in our post-closing blueprint. So your two-step strategy should be purchase the blueprint, number one, and number two, once you've studied our advice and seen who you should speak to at the SBA, how to contact them, I give you templates of an email you can send in, a script on how to speak to them, then contact the SBA and begin negotiating. And as Michael mentioned earlier, it is always more favorable in the eyes of the debt collector, meaning the SBA, that a borrower is putting their good faith into the transaction, trying to make good on the loan. That's not going to be possible for everybody. Some people's business have failed and they don't have the assets, and there's no other way around it.
If we've answered your question or we have provided any kind of insight, if you could just hit that like button, please. And if you haven't already subscribed and we haven't pissed you off in some way, that would be great for you to subscribe at this moment. If you are watching us, I appreciate that. What else? What are you
it is time for ding, 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 the PPP
forgiveness reminder of it's not too late. It's not too late. I think people who haven't, maybe they're just busy. But what is interesting to me that we have found out is that the OIG is using people who haven't applied for forgiveness yet as means for potential fraud.
As an indicator.
As an indicator.
That's all. If they haven't, if people have not applied for forgiveness on their PPP loan yet, it's because they did fraud. And by my rough, it's not any sense of accurate, but by my approximate calculations, I guess there's somewhere between 300,000 and 400,000 PPP loans still out there that are not forgiven yet. What portion of those were stolen money by criminals? I don't know. But I know from speaking to business owners here on our broadcast and on our consultation calls and our own clients that we've assisted, that a lot of people haven't applied for forgiveness for a variety of reasons. They may not know where to apply for it. Is it the lender who gave you the money? Is it the SBA? Then there's the paperwork issue. Then there's the math. The calculating the use of funds, the utilization can be a little challenging. So there's that. There's the supporting documents. Do you need supporting documents? You don't need supporting documents. There's a host of reasons why people may not have applied, and most of it, I think, is also people don't realize they still can apply. The first round of PPP loans up to June 5th of 2020 was a 2-year term of the loan. After June 5th of 2020, it was a 5-year term, which means it's 2023. There's still 2 years remaining on the term of those loans, and you can request forgiveness at any time. And we would encourage you to request forgiveness. And to that end, we created our PPP forgiveness guide, which you can access. I hand it over to this girl because she's the pro. And oh, look at that. Bingo! Right on cue. Tell them what they've won, Linda.
This is our PPP forgiveness guidebook. This is one of our very much lower priced items than our blueprint. We are not the cheapest folks on the block. And there's a reason for that. We have spent tireless numbers of hours collecting data so you don't have to and have it at your fingertips. And also because he's a loan officer for 30 years. So there's a different kind of mindset and approach to how we put our information together so that you have much higher level of success emotionally and factually with these types of process and protocols, because it's much different than buying a car or buying furniture. These are financial services types of
a lot of the financial stuff scares people.
Yeah.
Because they think it's so complicated. It's actually simpler than you give yourself credit for. And simpler for you to understand than you give yourself credit for. All of the guides that we create, I create I do the bulk of the writing in the guides, whether it's our post-closing blueprint for the COVID EIDL or our PPP forgiveness. We have a download for the U.S. Treasury grants. There's any number of downloads we have. Some of them are free. Some of them you have to pay for. Let me tell you the background of how I speak to you through my guides. When I was a mortgage banker, I started my career in 1989. And the reason I got into the business is because my family immigrated here from England in 1963. Yes, I was born in London, England. I had an accent like this. And we didn't have a lot of money and we didn't own a house. And I wanted to become a homeowner. And I got into the mortgage business so that I could learn what it would take to become a homeowner. And the reason I got into the mortgage business is because in the years leading up to that, from about 1980 through 1989, 9 years, I couldn't get a straight answer from anybody in the industry on how to become a homeowner. And keep in mind, this is before the internet, right? I knew real estate agents. I mean, what moron who came to my wedding when I married my first wife, and I went to him first and I couldn't get straight answers. Well, how do I do it? How much money do I need? Do we make enough money, on salaries to qualify for a mortgage? What about credit? we couldn't get answers, which now, you can flick a switch on Google and you get all the answers you need. And that frustration and that intense desire to become a homeowner got me into the mortgage industry. And I set out from day one, I said to myself, when I'm sitting across the table, when I'm sitting across the desk, when I'm in a conference room with an applicant and I'm doing their loan application with them, I am going to explain every feature, every document, every question in a way that they know what it is that they're signing. And I'm going to answer their questions in a simple to understand format because I'm the professional. And out of respect for these applicants, and I brought a tremendous, my colleagues did not necessarily behave that way, by the way. And I often was reprimanded by managers at various mortgage companies because I spent too much time. I sat with somebody for a loan application. It was 2 hours in the back of a real estate office back in the 1990s. Or at somebody's kitchen table. Other people are in and out of there in 15 minutes. With our guides, the way, especially with PPP forgiveness, which can be complicated, I use that same level of respect. I respect you. And I understand that this is not your wheelhouse. So I've put this information in a format out of respect that is easy to understand. So if you have not applied for PPP forgiveness, it's not too late. Get our guide and get to it.
I put a link in the comments so that you can at least refer to some of the things that are included in there for ease of use. And one of the things too because I said to Trevor, I was like, we have somebody that comes on our show on a regular basis, and she says, the banks will help you
on the forgiveness.
And we say that that's not always true for everybody. We have a client who hired us because his bank demanded he make payment of the PPP loan. There was a timing issue or something, and he just was unduly pressured, and he made the payment, and then he was like,
well, he paid it off.
And he paid it off. So now he's
and then he wanted to have it forgiven. And they said, oh, it's too late. You can't get it forgiven. And I said, that doesn't make any sense.
No. So,
because the way forgiveness works is the United States Treasury reimburses the lender.
Yeah.
Right. So even if you have a PPP loan, if you have made payments and you apply for forgiveness and then the forgiveness is approved, the lender will refund the payments to you because they can't have their cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
Once the SBA approves it and funds the entire loan balance back to the lender has to refund to you the amount that you've paid in, whether it's in full or the payments you've made so far.
So, we went away to do our annual retreat where we do our strategy planning for the following year. And we also try to clean up the end of year kinds of things. And we have a lot of assets, and by assets, I mean intellectual property, because we have for the past 4 years created content, and some of it free, a lot of it free, but a lot of it paid resources because of the challenges and struggles that business owners have had that we've personally experienced with them. Because they've shared, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to go about it. I tried it. It didn't work. What should I do? What do I do now? This seems like a roadblock. So what now? What are my options? So this is because of actual real life experiences. When you go to our website, auroraconsulting.biz, there is one of my favorite free downloads, which is Oversights and Preparedness. It's one of our beacon guides, and we created that in response to disaster preparedness for small business, not just natural disasters, but small business owners. And the oversight,
the basics
right,
of
and
things that you should do, and the mistakes that we see time and time again. Spoke to a CPA this afternoon who is now representing one of our business consulting clients. This is a business that has grown rapidly, and the business owner found herself in a position that, some of the fundamentals fell by the wayside because the business grew so fast. So she brought us in to kind of help organize things. And one of the first things we did was we realized that the accountant was not serving her with her best interests in mind. So we referred her to our CPA. She met him. She liked him, and she decided to do business with him. So I was speaking to him today, and here's one of the mistakes that business owners make. He said to me, he goes, I see all kinds of bad tax returns. I go, dude, you're preaching to the choir. I mean, I've read thousands of tax returns in my mortgage career and during COVID and now still. For instance, this client, the accountant, who is a CPA/attorney, who's also an attorney, who prepared her tax return, put the wrong EIN number on the tax return. Like, how do you do that? It was off by 1 digit. That means it's a typo. It was not like, somebody gave them the wrong information. It's data entry mistake. This is one of the little things that a lot of business owners don't pay attention to that we mentioned here in our Beacon Guide. So do we talk about our services and products?
No, but I'm going to.
Okay. Let's talk about mistakes.
I'm going to run through this quickly because it's already been an hour and 20 minutes, and that's
but you're not on fire anymore because the fire burned out.
Fire burned out.
Fire literally has burned out.
I know our gorgeous background. Okay, so we are going to be redoing our website, which is where you can get the Beacon Guides and the blueprints. And soon will be the revised roadmap for natural disaster applications, EIDL applications. But we also have where this Friday the 13th, is International Day for Failure. This is going to be one of my favorite new holidays. Why? Because this particular holiday was created by a group of students in Finland. There's a whole article about it that you can find on the community tab of our YouTube channel, because I forgot to put the link. It's nationaltoday.com. If you Google International Day for Failure, you're going to find it. The history is there's a group of students, and evidently Finland is one of those countries averse to failure. I guess there's a high level of perfectionism that goes on there. And this group of students who were entrepreneurial and wanted to start a small business or understand that failure is part of business. We all know that. That's why you're here. That's why we're preaching to the choir. And so this holiday was started, and it was 2010. Why I'm kind of jumping on the bandwagon about this is because I created the BizGlitch 366 project.
I love this project.
Which is 366 mistakes already made, not only by us, but by thousands of business owners, and collected data
that we've come in contact
that we've encountered and witnessed and have assisted in some way, shape, or form. And also because each of us have 3 decades of experience in financial services.
And running businesses.
And running business, managing business, owning business, failing at business, closing businesses,
we've seen
selling
it all.
Businesses.
So we infused this brilliant project that Linda came up with.
Yeah.
With
so
all of these mistakes. And by the way, 366 is because next year
is leap year.
It's a leap year. It's 29 days in February. I did see that, Michael. I didn't want to share that out loud.
So basically, it's 366 mistakes that are emailed to you. You can get 1 a day or get a weekly digest and have 7 at your disposal. Because if you've ever been in therapy, you know that sometimes you kind of have to live life to then feel the things that bring us back onto the couch to talk about dissecting and how to learn.
Do we have a banner we can put up for it?
For BizGlitch.
So one of the things we wanted to share with you as we wind down our broadcast this evening is some of the mistakes that we have recently seen business owners making. And when I say recently, I'm just going to look at this real quick. I mean, as recently as literally in the last 10 days. This is just 10 days. And
10 days.
Our travels to just go and live our lives, going to a restaurant or dealing with someone, a contractor for our house or any number of things. And these are the experiences we witnessed and we experienced. First of all, I got this great phrase from a contractor, a guy who really talked a lot. He was a lovely man. He was fun to talk to. It was a good conversation, but boy, the guy could talk.
Kettle black. Hello.
You said to me later, you said, wow, he even talks more than you.
Because you talk a lot.
We met him because the hotel we were staying at in Massachusetts, the other contractor had decided to, in the room below us, glue some PVC pipe together with the special epoxy glue. And I don't know if you've ever smelled that glue, but the chemical, it is pungent beyond where, I mean, our eyes were tearing. We had to vacate our suite because we were staying in like an apartment at the inn. And we lost a day and a half of work because of it. So in speaking to this guy, he was talking about the other contractor who had made a mistake, and he used this phrase, and I love it. He said, you know, Trevor, this is up in Massachusetts, right? So he says, you know, Trevor, wisdom comes from experience, and experience comes from mistakes.
I wish I was there to record it because I was in the other room.
You were literally right there, but you were annoyed to get. He and I were talking so much. You're like, oh my God,
an hour.
The two of them yakking away. So here's some bad business mistakes we've seen in the last 10 days.
10 days.
The timid restaurant owner
who doesn't want to respond to a bad review.
Does not want to respond to negative reviews on Google. We found while we were away on holiday this amazing Italian restaurant. The food was incredible. But what led us to go try it out was I was Googling the vicinity, walking distance of our inn. And I found it. So I looked at the reviews, and there was this one really horrible review from a woman who clearly does not get out a lot and doesn't appear to be someone who goes to a lot of restaurants. It was they lambasted the restaurant. And one of the things it said was, and it appears there's only one server who handles all the tables and the takeout orders and the phone orders.
There are 7 tables.
Okay. And you know, so I read that part of it. I said, wow, I want to go. I want to see how this woman manages the restaurant. Now we knew already it was small, and it's a BYOB place. So it's that kind of Italian restaurant. So we got a nice bottle of wine for Linda, and we went to the restaurant, and we had the most incredible meal, and the service was incredible. This woman was a superhero. She really managed the whole restaurant.
Okay.
And she told us, when I had called to make the reservation, I mentioned the review. I said, yeah, we're coming because we read the horrible review, and I want to see you in action. So at our table, we're chatting with her, and she said, yeah, I saw that review. Remember, we're in Massachusetts. I wanted to respond to that review. I had some things to say. And she told us the whole story about what that woman was like. It was actually far worse than I even mentioned before. This woman was a nightmare as a customer. But she said, but the owner, one of the owners, he's very timid. He doesn't want to respond to negative reviews. Okay. Why do we think, Linda and I, that that's a mistake on the part of the timid owner? Shall we tell you? Do you want to hear the answer why we think it's a mistake to not respond to a negative review on Google?
Well, because I may not answer this, especially how this show started, where you're like, wow, that was not the answer I was expecting.
Yeah, but also the fire was going and you were having a hot flash and all that stuff. And it's before Rebecca
responding to the negative review is an opportunity to not only share your side of the story, but also demonstrate the character that, and your passion for your business of what went sideways in this interaction or this encounter. They may even be right. The negative review might even be right, but that's your opportunity to, with grace, apologize, or, if there isn't something that you can justify, like, listen, we asked you to be specific and you weren't. You asked us to change the way we accept payments. You asked us.
You're talking about us now.
Now, because,
we're back riffing on that again.
I'm waiting for this person to leave a bad review with how she encountered our, having a call with us. So I'm hoping she leaves a review.
Well, let's stay with the timid owner.
Okay, but anyway. So
Linda's right. That, you want to show your audience out there who's going to read reviews that as the owner of the restaurant or the management of the restaurant, your care and your passion for your customers, whether you're apologizing or whether you're interacting. Plus, it it jiggles the algorithm. There's nothing wrong with the algorithm getting a little spice and juice and life to it. But it also is going to attract better quality customers like us. We went to that restaurant because of the bad review.
2 nights.
Now, there was no response from anybody, but we wanted to see it for ourselves. But we have gone to restaurants because in fact, there's a cafe not far from here in Connecticut where we went there for breakfast because I read all the reviews, and there was one knucklehead who said something about the coffee, like, they say that the coffee is sourced from Colombia and they don't even know. Well, the owner responded and presented an encyclopedic response about not only did they know where the coffee was sourced, they knew the name of the town. They knew the name of the farmer. They had his phone number. Okay. And that was, that kind of response. I said, we're going to go there for breakfast. We had a very nice breakfast, very nice time. You're going to get better quality customers if you are not timid. And so this is a mistake on multiple levels.
All right, next.
Wow. Really? Okay.
Okay.
Next. Plan, prepare, and prosper.
Okay.
Oh, no, wait. I know I wasn't done. Going back to that Italian restaurant. On the same Google Maps search that I was doing, looking for a place to eat dinner and lunch, etc., I saw another restaurant where there was a bad review, and something like there's no. I wish they had tofu.
It was a lobster joint.
Okay, you totally stole my thunder.
Oh, did I? Oh, sorry. Tragedy. Okay.
This is what we call dead air.
Yeah, so the review was
the review was like, I wish they had tofu on the menu. And the owner, who was fit, I noticed the
super
review,
snarky.
She comes right back, goes, "It's a lobster restaurant."
Yeah. Yeah.
I think my punchline works better than yours.
Whatever. Okay. Next, plan, prepare, and prosper.
Yes.
The restaurant
a different restaurant
is over.
It's built on a wharf.
Built on a wharf. So a lot of flooding and
with storm surges.
And he was showing us pictures from a year ago where the waves from underneath were coming into the restaurant. But that was supposed to happen because they installed these rafters or
bumpers.
Whatever, bumpers they call them, so that when the water was too high up and surging, it would just have a place to go versus breaking up the joint.
So he showed us the video, and you see the bumpers popping open. You see the store surge. I mean, it's like 5-6 feet of water gushing up through the floorboards.
It was significant
of the restaurant. And he says to us, he shows the video. He goes, "All right, I'm going to ask you both a question." His accent was not as strong, but it was still Massachusetts. He's like, "How long do you think it took us to open up the restaurant after that happened?"
I think I said either 72 hours.
You said 48.
I said 48 hours.
I said 24. He starts hysterical laughing. He goes, 4 hours. We were open in 4 hours. I had my contractor on call. He was over here. We had the floorboard set up already in advance. Plan, prepare, and prosper. Yeah. Business owners make this mistake all the time. What's next on the list?
Being proactive.
We are astounded. Constantly. Go ahead, Linda Ray. Tell them what they want.
Well, that's why I created the Glitch Project, so that it's like, this is so you don't even have to do the research on how to be proactive. I just send you every day something to remind you, by the way, this has happened in a business somewhere. This is a thing. This has to happen in your business, or it shouldn't happen in your business. And this is how to prepare. All the glitches are basically a question and then some like history short, and then a goal and an actionable item. Very, very microblog-ish, right?
We get a lot of compliments on Linda's Glitch Project. A lot of compliments. Business owners who go, "This is mind-blowing how good this is."
But I have two pet peeves. I've got the helplessness and then the post-mortem victimhood. And there's no reason for it. It's one thing, you're going to make a mistake. It's inevitable. It's how you and how you then the resilience that you have thereafter. But people who are just like, I don't know what to do, and then it's not my fault. I got no time.
So speaking of, it's not my fault. We had a recent experience with a contractor that does business with us, been working with us for a couple of years. And back when gas prices had gone up, and this is somebody who comes to our house on a regular basis.
Oh, yeah.
Back when the gas prices had gone up,
I need tea for this.
She reached out and said, I need to raise my fee by $10 every 2 weeks because of the increase in the cost of gasoline for my car. So Linda said, I'll do you one better. How about I raise you $15? So we gave her the increase for the gas and an extra $5. The person cleans our house. Okay, it's the cleaning service, and so that went on. Now, when the gas prices went back down, this person did not lower her price by the $10 of the gas increase, and we were okay with that because we like the work that she does. Although of late we have noticed the quality of the work is kind of falling off a little bit. We suspect she's getting very busy. Well, we got proof of that last week when she reached out to us and she said, we formed an LLC and now we have to collect sales tax. So I'm going to increase your price to cover the sales tax.
I went crazy. I said, wait a minute. First of all, you're supposed to be paying sales tax anyway. And
all along, whether you're an LLC or not, you're a service provider in the state of Connecticut, you're required to pay.
So that was one thing. And I said, I'm already paying you more than what we originally agreed upon because of a surcharge you imposed on us that I agreed to.
Which you didn't reduce.
That you never reduced. So she goes, well, all my other clients are doing it. I go, well, did your other clients give you an extra $5 too? And then never ask you that you didn't ask for because.
So the mistakes here are, there's a cascade of errors. There's the whole thing with the gas increase that, when prices went down, the person didn't say, hey, I want to lower the price because I'm not paying as much. And to which we would have probably said, no, you're fine. Keep it. We like the work you do. Keep it. We didn't get that option. Then there's the sales tax, which you should have been collecting all along and hasn't been, and now wants to pass that on to us by raising our fee. Okay. And then there's just this whole bad negotiation on pricing.
Listen,
this is one of those things that we're astounded with business owners.
Well, this is the other thing too that I am finding out, that there are the people that are front facing with customers. Either they're the contact person or they are the talent that is providing the service or, fulfilling services rendered. And then there's operations. And in two instances, the scenario we're talking about, we suspect that there is a person behind the scenes that's handling like the money and all the financial aspects of running the business and the operations. And just like the person who didn't like how we handle setting up an appointment with us for a paid consultation, there is another person that I suspect is the decision maker. So there's the contact person and a decision maker. And
the decision maker is a coward.
Because the front-facing person then has to clean up the mess and all of that. So
yet another business mistake.
Yeah. And then we're ending. Oh, look, he points to this and my favorite 3-letter word.
We had a whole other section, but I can tell Linda's running out of juice.
I'm running out of juice. I mean, we already said, let's not go 2 hours. It's an hour and 37 minutes. I want to thank everybody who is here with us. And thank you, Michael, for always providing
humor,
a little extra, even though you actually don't need us at all for anything. Thank you, my friend, for always supporting us. I really, really mean it. And thank you to everyone who is here who relies on some of our information and supports
we really
the channel.
believe in all of you, and we hope that you find value from our chats. We know that the messaging that we share, the advice, the expertise and experience we share isn't everyone's cup of tea.
No, we've had
Cue the cup of tea. Not everyone's cup of tea. We get that. And we're okay if those folks don't want to listen to us. But you can be sure, by the way, if they write nasty comments, we're going to use that.
We are.
It's a bonus, bonus for our algorithm and our reputation. But for those of you who do understand our value, please know that we are here to support you. We have a lot of knowledge and experience.
Mm-hmm. We're an acquired taste. That is 100%.
One of us more than the other.
I say this with 100% confidence and accuracy because we don't like to play games. We want to cut to the chase. We're not always going to tell you what you want to hear.
Never.
But we're going to share with you what we understand because of actual practical experience with doing shit day to day. We're not just telling you, it's sort of like when you go to school, how much stuff from school that you learned that you really apply in life? Not much.
I use algebra still every day.
Oh, God.
Hashtag math is fun.
All right. Well, Michael, we might have to do a little get together after the show offline after party. And
make sure you invite Rebecca, who was we want to thank Rebecca especially for being such a huge part of our broadcast
I want to thank the two from Bowl TV, Rebecca and also Alamin. Thank you for being, if you're still here. We understand it's a long show. Can't be here for the whole thing. But just want to say thank you to everybody.
Just a quick reminder, make sure you subscribe and click the bells to get reminders. We're posting all kinds of videos with information that we think you need, and some of which you probably don't need and don't care about, but it's there anyway. You can find us at auroraconsulting.biz.
Thank you, Aubrey. Thanks. Such a great ending to this show. Thanks,
everybody. I love it. They can kick rocks. Thanks, everybody, and have a great evening.